Hello, what's your name?
My name is Alan Menter.
Good evening. This is the 25th of November, 2013, and we're interviewing Dr. Alan Menter as part of the Roots to Boots project for the Dallas Jewish Historical Society. Dr. Menter, I'd like to start with asking you to please tell us about the historical origins of your family, where they came from in Europe before coming to South Africa.
Well, I know my mother's rather well because we've done a whole encyclopedic review of my mother's history. And my mother's great-grandfather came from Vilnius in Lithuania.
Wait, oh, I'm sorry, where?
Vilnius
in Lithuania. Came from Vilnius in Lithuania. He was one of 13 brothers, of whom 10 happened to be doctors, and I've got pictures of them back in 1870. Anyway, the family, part of them migrated to Europe, part migrated to Ireland, part migrated to Manchester and Newcastle. And my mum grew up in Dublin, Ireland. She was one of about 100 Jewish families in Dublin, Ireland. And then my late father, who sadly died when I was 19, he went to Dublin to do medicine from South Africa. And he was a third generation, also obviously from the Lithuanian region, but I don't have his history as coordinated as well as I do my mother's. He met my mum in 1939 while at medical school in Dublin at Trinity. And then when he was and they got married. And then I was born during the war in Yorkshire in England when he was doing a locum there. And after the war, we all went back to South Africa. So that's kind of the origins of the family. And the name was changed, obviously, over the years. It was Rubenstein initially, and to my mother's name, and then it was changed in Ireland to Green. And her best friend, actually, growing up, interestingly, was the son of the only rabbi in Dublin. And the rabbi's name was Herzog, and the son's name was Chaim Herzog. So Chaim Herzog went, when his father, Rabbi Herzog, was chosen to be chief rabbi of London in the early 40s. Chaim went from Israel with his dad, joined the British Secret Service, and then in 48 went to Israel and became president of Israel thereafter. So that's a little brief history from my mother's side.
So, how many children are in your family?
My wife and I have 4 children.
No, I mean in your the parental family that.
My mother's family. My father had one sister, who, as I said, my dad died when I was young. My aunt kind of almost took care of the 4 mental brothers. I was one of 4 boys.
Okay, you were one of 4
with my mother, and my mother had 3 siblings, one sister, and who's actually still living in Dublin at the age of 90, and 2 brothers who have passed away.
And then you were one of 4 children.
I was one of 4 children. I was the only one born outside of South Africa. So when we went back to South Africa, the rest were born in the other 3 were born in South Africa. And then I got married when I was 25, and then Pam and I have had 4 children. 3 children. Pam and I have had 3 children.
Tell me about your early life in South Africa, what it was like growing up there.
Well, it was sadly, it was a fairly idyllic type of relationship. We sadly all, just like the South here, we all had servants growing up. In fact, when my dad died, we had a wonderful guy. His name was Elias. He was a black gentleman who did everything for us. He was almost like a second father to us, but he couldn't live with us. So the apartheid era was something I was always very concerned about, upset about, and all of us at university were very much part of the anti-apartheid movement. We had something there called the Student Representative Council, which was considered by the government, the Afrikaner government, which was obviously the pro-apartheid government. It was considered communist, like many people here who were, anti, the mainstream were considered communist. So, but I enjoyed every minute of growing up. I played, all of us were very much into soccer and rugby and all the other things that South Africans like to enjoy. So it was a very idyllic period growing up, provided one stayed away from the sad apartheid era.
Were you in a public school environment, or was it a private
Totally
school?
public school. Very few of my friends went to private schools. The governmental public schools were superb. We had every facility, even in the 50s when I was in when I was in elementary school, and then in the I graduated from high school in 1958. I mean, we had every facility. We had multiple sports grounds, we had art schools, we had swimming pools. So a lot of money was given by the government and by the local, school districts to education. Sadly, again, it was apartheid. It was only white kids who were allowed in the school.
What was Jewish community life like?
Very strong. The Jewish community life in South Africa was as strong as it is in Dallas growing up. I mean, we had Habonim, we had B'nai Zion, we all went to shul. My mom was very, very, very orthodox. I never ate treif, I never ate anything. I never had anything that related to pork until we went to England, when my wife and I migrated to England for a few years. So it was a very orthodox upbringing. My father himself was not very orthodox, but my mother was. And so we went to shul every week. We went to, every possible affair. As I said, every Sunday morning we went to Habonim or B'nai Zion. And the 3-4 Menter brothers all grew up that way.
Tell us how you met your wife.
Well, I was in medical school and Pam was in nursing school. She grew up in